Hello, my name's Tilly.
And my name's Connie.
And together we are
the Mindful M8s.
And you are listening to
The Elevated Table Talk.
So we've got a really exciting episode today. I'm so excited for it. It's all I've been thinking about for the past week.
It was your idea and you
It
took off on it.
So it's about female bodies through time. So I was on the YouTubes and I saw a video come up that was all about how the female body changes through time. Like the female ideal body has changed throughout history. So I was like, oh my gosh.
That's a podcast.
That's a podcast right there. And I messaged Connie and I was like, how do you feel about this? And she ignored it.
Did I?
Yeah. And I was like,
what?
Okay. So
was it late?
No, we were in the middle of another conversation and then you just didn't reply and then I was like, okay. So then I said it again and then you were like, yeah, and I was like, okay. But then the next day you were like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because I started and I thought, whoa, like, I just found out even one Google search and it took off because there's just so many sources on it.
And you found there was so many sources?
Yeah.
I struggled.
There was a lot of sources.
Oh, okay.
You had to, I had to re-research one because it's the news. So, I mean, I say the news, like magazines, so how can you believe that?
Yeah. And I just want to say that, you know, this is research we've done. We're not stating that all this is facts. We've just, you know, gone on the old Google search and Googled it. So this all might be bullshit, but it's what we found. Yeah. And obviously we didn't live through those times, so
we don't know.
Is there any proof? Who knows? But shall we get started? Yes. I'm excited. Okay, so we're going to be reading off our laptops and I've been told by my boyfriend I'm not a good reader. So...
Really?
Yeah, he always says... If I read something out, he says, I'll read it myself. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so the first one is the Venus of Willendorf. In 1908, a small statue of a female body was found near the village in Austria. It's been found that this little statue was made about 25,000 years ago, and it is called the Venus of Willendorf. And basically what this sculpture is, it's a little sculpture of a female body that you can, like, fits in the palm of the hand.
Yeah.
Its face is covered up, so it's got no face. I think it looks like it's got a hat on or something.
Yeah.
The body has a lot of body fat. Like, it's very thick. It's got massive breastises, a big tummy and thick thighs, but she has no feet. And
really?
So people think that because it's not able to, like, stand up on its own, that it was a lucky charm for people to carry around. So then that's why people think this was the desired body in those times, because it was like a good luck charm.
That's interesting because straight away I was thinking it says it actually can't stand up on its own 2 feet. How does that link? Like, that obviously links to the female body in that time, because it can't stand up on its own 2 feet.
Oh yeah.
There isn't any sort of women empowerment, and perhaps males were like, you know, ruling the roost.
So yeah, some people thought it was the desired body type because it had no lucky charm.
Yeah.
But then some people thought it brought good luck with fertility. So estrogen, the female hormone, gives women bigger hips, bigger buttocks, bigger thighs, breasts, and without estrogen you can't have babies. So, and when women are pregnant they have big bellies. Yeah. So people think that this sculpture is seen as sexy because obviously having babies in those days was like the thing to do, what all you were made to do.
If you couldn't have babies, then like, what's the purpose?
Yeah, so people thought that this fuller figure was desired because it just was the symbol of female bodies having birth and estrogen and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And that was 25,000 years ago that women were celebrated for having big bodies.
And even now, people that are struggling with fertility and stuff like that, if they've used all sort of like, you know, general doctor's advice and pharmaceutical and all that, and none of it's worked, they go back to stuff like this and like different fertility. Like if you go on literally if you Google fertility charms or fertility whatever, like you can carry that like that. You can carry them in your pocket.
Charm.
Yeah, you can actually get them like crystals and stuff.
Oh.
So I was watching a film. I don't know what the film's called. Sorry, but there's like witchy people, and you can go to them, and they know everything about fertility. You know the help me out. The tarot cards.
Yeah.
There's obviously symbolisation in them as well with fertility, and people. That's what people go to. Some people go to
more
what they're called.
I don't.
Tarot reader.
Tarot reader.
Just
like
that's
fortune
it.
teller.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
fortune teller. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
it's interesting how a fuller body was. Well, technically we don't know, but this is what people have assumed because they've found this figure. And the name, the Venus of Willendorf, Venus, that means like goddess, doesn't it? Like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you say the Willendorf?
Well, I think that's just what they've called it. I'm not too sure.
Or maybe the area or
Willendorf.
something like that.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like an Austrian
Austria. Yeah.
place
Yeah.
or thing.
Yeah, Willendorf. Maybe that's where they found it. Bad researcher right here. Jokes. Okay.
No, that was really interesting. I like that one.
And how like long ago it was as well.
Yeah.
Because back then, obviously, they didn't have media and pictures, so sculptures were what they had.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay. Do you want to?
What are we on now? Ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So ancient Greece. How long ago was that? I'm not sure. One thing I didn't actually search. So in ancient Greece times, they was actually just heavily focused on male physique rather than women. So, you know, obviously we're researching female bodies and certain influences and stuff like that, but it was actually just completely on the back burner. They didn't really have anything to look up to. It was more like just the men was so... I should have researched more. Well, I guess the men were more like big, muscly, like everywhere. Like they needed to be ready for battle and like fight and stuff like that. So the women didn't really have to
conform to beauty. Take me back to it. When was this? Greek.
Ancient Greece, yeah. So Greek times. What else? Yeah, Aphrodite, which is the goddess of beauty. So, love, passion, procreation, fertility again.
Fertility.
So it just keeps coming back. So so if anything, they could relate to that goddess if that was anything. But I don't think it's a major influence simply because the male physique was like they was trying so hard to try and live up to that. Women just didn't have to. Yeah,
wow,
didn't have to think about it.
That's unusual because now, I've not found that. It's always the women had to look a certain... I guess the men did too, but there was so much more pressure on the women.
On the women, yeah. But I did find out that they did have large breasts, round face, pear-shaped bodies. So, yeah, even though they weren't heavily sort of pressured into looking a certain way, they did look this way. They were bigger and fuller. So, very interesting.
That is interesting. Yes. Okay, so now we'll move on to the early Renaissance era. I don't know how to say
I don't know either.
The Renaissance.
The
Renaissance. I think it's the Renaissance. So, the Renaissance era. So when we look back at this era, we look at the paintings. Do you know what the paintings look like?
Not really.
Okay.
You mean like...
It's like the paintings where they're like all propped up and
Yeah.
it's all floaty and like...
Automatically I'm thinking of the Vatican City. Not like,
yeah, I think that's got something to do with
you know,
it.
like the ceilings and
yeah, when they're
everything
all
and,
like beautifully
yeah,
painted, like naked and
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the artists didn't actually want the paintings to look like real models or the real women at the time.
Yeah.
They painted them as the ideal
Okay.
body type. Yeah.
So even though they weren't that body type,
no,
they painted them as what everyone
what they wanted them to look like. It's a bit like Photoshop now, isn't it? Like you take a picture and you don't look like that, but then we edit it to make it look like what beauty is. Yeah. So the body type was more soft, chubby. There was no signs of bones.
Yeah.
It was all fair skinned and like just, you know, like delicate and soft, but quite full
like
bodies.
Feminine, really feminine.
And this was because the beauty standards were based on what men wanted in women. Wealth. And, you know, in those times, if you got wealth, you've got abundance of food. So, you know, women could eat as much as they want. They could laze around as much as they want and chill. And obviously, inevitably, you put on weight when you do that. Yeah. So, to show wealth, they were bigger. And also, back to children again, childbearing hips. Yeah, which is a big one. So, you want to look at a woman and think she will be able to give birth to a child. Yeah. So, that's what it was like. So, beauty was if you were bigger, you were wealthier.
And if you've got balanced hormones, again with the estrogen, it will naturally go more towards the hips than the belly. Because it's preparing for that. Yeah.
So it was like, well, I guess there was still belly because then it shows the wealth of the food, but then just bigger women. But women who had less money were obviously skinny, and they were considered unhealthy and poor and undesirable.
It links right to the next one, which is so interesting.
Does it? Go on. So that was all for that one.
We go straight into Elizabethan era.
Elizabethan era. Gosh, we should have practiced saying these before we came onto the podcast.
So she's crowned in 1558.
Say that again.
She was crowned in 1558.
Who? Queen Elizabeth?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just sort of giving you a bit of background. And it links to what you've just said because straight away it was paler skin. There was a higher status with a paler skin as well.
Really?
So a bit of white privilege, I think. There. And as well, with the pale skin, if it was completely like pale skin, no tan lines or anything like that, showed the higher status because they were indoors, lapping up like the comfort and the food. And then you could tell between wealth of people because the people that were not very wealthy, not of high status, were outside getting rubbish tan lines. So people with like perhaps a little bit more tan skin but tan lines everywhere, you could instantly tell that they weren't
working.
Didn't
they used to like? I think this is like they used to put really bad stuff on the skin to make it white.
To make it white, yeah.
And some of that stuff was like toxic.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good.
No, because it used to kill them. I remember seeing it on Horrible Histories.
Oh my god, I love that show.
We should have watched that.
We needed to watch that.
I know. I completely
I learned me a lot, you know. Do you know what? That's where I wrote it down because I remember reading about it.
What did Elizabethans put on their skin? They used a
type of bleach.
They used to use tin ash or alum. It was talc, boiled white egg or other white products.
Oh,
they used an uncooked egg white as the glaze for their skin and helped hide. Mercury was also a common ingredient in makeup.
Interesting.
Wow. They really did just... But you whack any old shit. But obviously, they... Oh, doctors at the time urged women to use other makeup. Because obviously they knew how bad it was. But I think at that time beauty was just the most...
It wasn't like being healthy or anything. But the wealthier people with higher status, so obviously indoors, paler skin, blah de blah. Paler skin means they're not getting enough vitamin C, so they lacked it a lot, which means they've got really bad teeth and bleeding gums. Yeah. Oh my god. Which isn't attractive, is it?
No.
So it's they did a lot to look a certain way, and it didn't matter about the health.
So were their bodies similar to the before because of the wealth thing? So they lounged around all day.
Yeah, because they were just lapping up like all the big meals,
luxuries.
And I mean, do you remember when you watched Horrible Histories and they had a massive table? In fact, if you've been to Warwick Castle, they've got a massive long table, and it just shows of all of the big feasts that they used to have.
Oh, I remember.
They used to eat loads of stuff.
Is the Elizabethan or is it Victorian with Henry VIII?
Oh, I thought is that Victorian?
I don't know, but he used to eat loads, and he was considered like
not loads of wives,
beautiful because of how much. Yeah, and I think I remember like reading something and saying like the more you ate, the sexier you were.
Yeah.
Well, that's So we'll move on to the Victorian era, and in these times women were expected to run the house, they were expected to manage the servants and raised the children, and this time is when the media and the magazines came into play. So that means that the average Joe woman had started having influence from these women in the magazines.
Yeah.
So the ideal for this body type was young, clean, pale, delicate, fragile, long neck, drooping shoulders, high breasts, plump hips and butts, and a very heavily bonded corset to cinch in the waist.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about with those tiny little waists. So the corset was to create a more feminine shape. So with like the hourglass figure, is that how you say it?
Hourglass figure.
Hourglass figure. Yeah. And the smaller the waist, the higher the social status, which is a change.
Because of childbearing hips. That's different because usually you're keeping weight on your hips and that's attractive, isn't it?
Well, it was like low.
Oh, because it sort of come
down and then come out.
Still got the bigger hips.
But it's a change from obviously back what we were just talking about then.
Yeah.
Women had fuller bodies because it was fuller bellies, and the bigger your belly, the more higher you were because of the money. But now it's the smaller your waist.
Let's suck you in, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that was because the men of that time, they liked their women to be like virgins and pure. And obviously, if you've not had a baby, you've not had sex.
Yeah.
And if you're not pregnant, you've got a small waist. Yeah. So that meant
it's not expanded.
Yeah. So that meant you're a virgin. Well, you're
available.
You look more available because
you're on the market.
Yeah. But these corsets were thick. Well, they were really tight, and then the thick layers of the skirts were so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they restricted the movement for the women because they could barely breathe, they could barely move around or do any physical activities. And obviously, people believed that this was a symbol of female oppression because at this time, like I said earlier, females were supposed to stay at home, look after the kids, do like a classic housewife.
They're being restricted.
Physically, couldn't do anything because of what the fashion was.
I know this is a strange segue, and sorry if you don't like it.
Yeah.
But I remember watching Titanic, and I remember, what's her name?
Kate Winslet.
And I remember her saying, it's too tight, and she couldn't breathe, and she needed taking off really fast, and that gave me like a little bit of a perspective on how much they were sucked in and they couldn't breathe.
And even in Titanic, she gets like restricted by her husband. Like she has to sit, but then she wants to just dance and have fun with Jack. But she's made to sit there and be a lady, and so I think these fashions were actually a way to keep women.
And only the women and the children were sent onto the rescue boats simply because
they can
have babies and reproduce.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've got to have men, but you only need one man, don't you?
Yeah. So it was all about.
And I learnt that apparently your lower ribs, they're a bit more looser. They're not fully attached. Like they're fully attached. They're not like completely fixed. So with the corset, they can actually move and actually change the shape of your body.
Yeah, I think a lot of females did have so many. Sorry if you can hear my dog, by the way. He wanted to come in, so you might be able to hear him. Yeah, so I think it caused a lot of physical damage. So once again, women physically damaging themselves to live up to an ideal beauty standard.
And expectations.
Yeah. Crazy.
Thinking about that now in comparison to how far we've come.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
we'll get to that.
Yes, we will get to that. I keep wanting to like compare it to now, but we need to get there.
I know.
So we're only comparing to previous.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Gibson Girl. So,
Gibson Girl.
The Gibson Girl. I hope I'm speaking
This
enough.
was 1910s, wasn't it? This girl and this.
So the Gibson Girl. It was very thin, tall, slender line body. It wasn't. I mean, well, we've just gone from corset.
I thought the Gibson Girl was corset, but majorly corset.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not corset. I'm saying we've gone from corset.
Yeah. Okay.
Large hips. Very seductive with full bust.
Really?
Yes. I'm getting all the ones with the full bust.
That you are.
Swan Bill corset made the like curves of various. I'm being seductive now. It's a good job no one can see me because I'm actually I'm hidden by the laptop. But it's just so like.
So what was that? That was a company that made the corsets.
That's just what it was called. Swan Bill.
Swan Bill.
Swan Bill. So I don't know if it was a company. Right.
No, it was probably just the type of corset.
Yeah, I think it was just called. It was. Let me have a look. Oh. Internet has gone off.
That's okay. So Swan Bill, do your own research on that.
Very petite waist, tall, and the Gibson Girl was inspired by illustrations of Charles Darner Gibson. So if you research that, you'll have a bit of, imagery.
What's his name?
So Charles Darner Gibson.
Okay. Carry on talking.
And Camille Clifford, which is a stage actress, she wore a corset to create a tiny, tiny waist and big hips. And like I said before, the lower ribs are floating, so they adapt to the corset.
They are so tight,
literally.
aren't they? They're literally.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I think I read on the one just that it was desired for males to be able to get their hand around their wife's hips.
No.
Like their wife's waist, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to suck my waist.
No, I know. Like you just wouldn't be able to talk.
Another very interesting point is, when you said the very, what's the word? Like gender roles with the whole wifey. Yeah. They've got to clean up. They've got to.
I wanna be a wifey,
They've got to sort of. They're expected to look after the children, mother the children, do everything around the house, etc. The time of the Gibson Girl was the movement slowly coming in. It's called the suffragette movement. So when suffragette movement. Yeah. So women empowerment and people standing up for the right to vote, which is a massive game changer for women history.
Yeah.
Because now we have choices and we have a say where we didn't before.
And that, are you done? Because I can segue from that. Or just carry on saying what?
Okay, go.
No, carry on.
No, it's fine. Go.
Because that goes on to, so the 1920s.
Yeah.
So the World War had ended.
Yeah.
And then along came jazz music. And the woman had scored the right to vote. Yeah. So these women changed up the game for the way they looked.
Yeah.
So this era was all about having fun, dancing, partying, celebrating, because, you know, they can. They weren't exactly like gonna be, you know, higher than a man, but they had some rights now. So the women of 1920s, corsets, goodbye. They ditched the corsets and all the restricting clothing, so they could finally move, have fun, dance. So they were done with conforming to the previous ideals of men's and the way that the men wanted them to look. And the women rebelled against the Gibson Girl look.
Yeah.
And these women were called the flappers.
No.
Yeah. So because the women got a right to vote, they got a taste of the men's power and their body reflected this. So these women had short hair, dresses that were like flowy and allowed them to move around. They had flat chest. They used to bound their chest so it was like flat. They were skinny, like they had no curves. They were just straight up and down. And they wore dresses that had no like curves. It was just like a straight up and down dress. Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't have like hips or anything. They were just square, straight up and down.
Yeah.
And I think this was because these women wanted to show they were equal to a man, so they started having a more boyish body. Yeah. So they were like, listen, you know, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
We're straight up and down. I don't need to wear these horrible things that restrict me.
Yeah.
But obviously now women had a lot of pressure to control their weight, to stay skinny, so they believed like to not be an outcast and not be like, you know, the odd one out. You had to be skinny.
Yeah.
To conform to now, I guess, this new body type that you have to look like a boy to be beautiful, because we're all free and we all need to embrace this.
Yeah, like free-spirited nature.
Yeah, thingy.
Yeah.
So, and this was the period where we first start seeing adverts for weight loss, and there was like a mass advertising for this boyish look, and to achieve this, they focused on starvation and not like exercise. They just starved themselves to achieve this look.
So it's gone from eating ridiculous amounts of food
to just starving themselves
to nothing.
Yeah, and it's just like, even though it's good that the women were like, listen, I don't have to. So before, I feel like they had to listen to what men liked, but now it feels like they have to look at other women want and what women what should look like to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Because so if you wanted to wear the corsets and stuff, I guess you were looked down upon because people thought, oh, she's still listening to a man at home.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I know.
But yeah, it's shocking.
I can't believe the change from. So if you can Google the Gibson Girl, because the images,
I know.
It just doesn't look.
It's not natural.
No.
It's not natural at all, and you just imagine the pain, like mentally and physically, that the women were going through.
There's always been that saying, no pain, no gain.
Yeah. But
it's so toxic, isn't it?
I mean, you guess in the long run, there was a little bit of gain because they've got rights to vote. If that makes sense. So they might not have thought it at the time that following certain things, like following, living up to a man's expectations was going to get them anywhere.
Yeah.
But why all of a sudden is there a movement a decade along? Do you know what I mean? There's something that's happened. What is the universe doing?
Giving them the right to vote. Conspar. Come on, females. So is the next one the 1930s?
Yeah, 1930s.
Go on. Hit us with the 1930s.
Okay. Slim but curvy.
Oh! Slim but curvy.
It's gone from a straight down boyish look to, oh my god, we want curves again. But at least this time we don't have to wear corsets.
True.
Because that needed to just go away.
That
didn't it?
Yeah. But you know, I haven't spoke about this, but the corset did come back with the waist trainers. Do you remember the age of waist trainers?
My mum's got one.
Yeah, which is technically a corset, but not
but like in the 20th century.
And which you wear under your clothes. Yeah, so corsets
that
came
is a
back.
good point.
So if you guys don't know what a waist trainer is, it's basically what it says in the title. So it's like there's different clip-ons that you put around your waist, and eventually it makes your waist smaller. And we don't know the long-term health issues of those because at the minute they're still relatively new.
I mean, because you've got the waist trainers, then you've got like, what's it called? It's basically just like a squeezes you in temporarily, so you can have a rather smooth curve rather than. Is
it like the pants?
Yeah,
the sucking
pants.
Yeah,
like skinny pants. I think some people call them.
Oh yeah, the skinny pants.
So, my mum used to wear them like if she was to go out and she wanted to sort of like not have to deal with like lumps and bumps and stuff. She would just put them on to smooth it out, like, or a dress or anything like that. She'd put it on underneath. Yeah,
so it's still there. Still there.
Like, why do people feel like they have to wear them?
And they're not. I've never tried a waist trainer, but I've tried the pants before.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
No, I tried one on pants before.
I literally, my stomach was in pain. I was like, "This is." I'd rather just not. I'd rather just, if I was that self-conscious, just wear a baggy top or something. Yeah. Horrendous.
It's like, you feel like you're breathing in.
Yeah, and you feel like everything's just, and you feel like your tummy can't breathe properly. And if my tummy gets like really, I get really bloated, and then it makes it worse. And then I'm in agony, and I'm like, you know what, this isn't worth.
Exactly.
The pain.
It just isn't.
No. And imagine it was 10 times worse with those corsets. And everyone wore them. I can't even imagine.
Wedding dresses.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't thought about wedding dresses.
Yeah, because
traditional white wedding dress.
They got a corset.
Yeah. Most of them are corsets.
My prom dress had a corset.
Did it?
But I didn't have it tight. I just had it like
loose.
Yeah. My mum didn't do it really tight. And mine was like the long one that goes to the hips and then comes out of the hips. And even that, it was like really uncomfortable. I just wanted to like...
Mine was I think it was a little zip at the side. So it was very like it followed my figure. It wasn't sort of like in or out. It was sort of like a straight down sort of like dress. But yeah, it had a little zip on the side and... a little space for your boobs, or my little boobs. And but yeah, it just followed my figure. It wasn't anything, but that was still restricting. I was still a bit like, you don't feel like you're wearing a baggy top. Obviously, you're not going to feel like that, but you do feel very much. It's all about the figure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange that even at like prom, that still happens now. Like people have to wear like restrictive
wedding dresses, bridesmaids.
Yeah. On the day you're supposed to look the most beautiful, you have to wear these restrictive dresses. Yeah. If it was me, if I went to prom now, I'd literally just wear like a really baggy dress that was flowy, like a flapper dress.
I would like to wear a nice suit. I've always wanted a nice suit.
I can imagine like fern cotton style suit.
Oh my god, yeah.
She's so cool.
Yeah. I've always wanted to see what I look like in there.
When I had a shaved head, I always wanted to wear a suit because I
You
thought
should've
I
got
would have
one.
looked cute.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm too short.
Like a Jessie J look.
Jessie J. Okay, shall we segue back on to the 1930s?
Yeah, so a woman called Jean Harlow was a massive sex symbol in the 1930s. So
was she like an actress?
Yeah, I believe she was a movie star. She was called the Blonde Bombshell. That was what she was called.
Jean Harlow.
Yeah.
Carry on.
She didn't like to wear bras, but she was told by her mom to ice her breasts to keep them firm.
What?
Yeah. So there's a tension on, firm breasts, curvaceous, being sexy.
I guess the firm breasts, that's always been
and
like
blonde hair.
an anti-aging thing, isn't it? Like if your breasts are firm, it means you're young and...
Let's break it down. Blonde bombshell, like where... Let's think of... Okay, so blonde, we think of all the reasons behind, like opinions towards people with blonde hair.
Pure.
Yeah.
Angelic.
Yeah.
And
then
innocent. When was this might take a... Wasn't Hitler's ideal person blonde and blue eyes? And that was the 1930s, wasn't it? Yeah.
Blonde bomb. Shell.
Conspiracy.
Bombshell. So so bomb. I don't want to put a finger on something that... Okay, shell, right, shell. So they were once very restricted and they were in a corset shell. That was a shell. A shell for their body.
And then the bomb you break out of.
Yeah.
So it's like this woman that's just got broke out of all...
Yeah, she's broken out of the shell that was once there.
Yeah.
But she's still being told to ice her breasts. So
I know, that's ridiculous.
Maybe because they were so restricted before. Actually, we think of it was her mom that told us to do that. So when was her mom brought up? Do you know what I mean? The era of when she was brought up.
She would have been like the Gibson Girl, wouldn't she? Yeah.
Big breasts.
Which is big breasts.
Yeah, and curves.
Mm.
And that has your mum has a massive influence.
Yeah.
On.
Well, that's really interesting that she was. But then so was Marilyn Monroe. She was like blonde. Yeah. I guess blonde has always been like.
But red lips.
Where did
sexy
it come
symbols.
from? Yeah, the blonde. Do you think it did start with Hitler and his blonde?
Well, I don't think people were dyeing the hair blonde because these people were naturally blonde. It's just
maybe it was just more of an unusual.
It was very unique to have blonde and blue
hair.
eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah, is she naturally blonde?
When you get older and your hair gets lighter, and they say like older people comes wisdom.
Yeah.
Do you think blonde people were put as in the ideal because they perhaps had a bit more...
But that's really funny now because blonde people are seen as being thick shits.
Yeah, dumb.
No offence, blonde people, you're not a thick shit.
We don't think this.
We don't think you're
a
thick shit.
That's just,
the stereotypical...
Stereotype. Which actually I haven't heard in a while.
What?
I haven't heard someone turn around and say...
Bimbo. I think that was like a 90s thing.
Blonde bimbo.
Yeah, it was a bimbo.
Or I'm having a blonde moment.
Ah, that was a quote.
I had that in school, not obviously towards me. Brown.
But people said it if they weren't blonde. I'm having a blonde moment. And Marilyn Monroe, she was blonde too, so I guess they were like beauty figures, and who knows why blondes were seen as the ideal. My opinion, maybe it does have something to do with Hitler because he had so much influence, and maybe that was just the ideal.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for 1930s?
No, go for it.
So this is a short one. I don't have much for this one because 1940s, this was when the World War II took place. So the fashion and beauty was just really inspired by the military with like shoulder pads. So women had big shoulders, the pointed breasts, you know, the torpedo breasts, bras, blazers, and everything overall was like really angular and pointy, and beauty kind of took a back seat because of everything that was going on in the world. Yeah. So it was just really just like pointy. And
I'm having a future segue, but I'm not giving off much. So do you remember when Cheryl Cole brought out that song?
We're gonna fight for this love. We're gonna fight.
And she had the green military jacket. I had that jacket.
Did you?
Not literally the jacket, but I had
blazers did come back
had
for
a bit of red on it as well for the buttons, and it was literally exactly the same. And
I
how
wonder,
does that relate to 1940s?
I don't know. I wonder. I think it was more like shoulder pads and military because women just wanted to support, like, you know, the men.
They were
at
like
war
in factories and stuff and doing the making the guns and getting everything ready.
So they were doing like
following suit,
male work, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get much for 1940s. I just got that it was military based and angular and pointy.
Sorry.
Like a machine. It's like a machine.
But they were in factories, so it was all
like a
you
machine.
think we've got robots now.
Yeah.
They were putting
the robots of this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people who were at war were just treated like robots. Like,
sorry, I keep on thinking about Cheryl Cole and that song.
Go on.
You know, literally the words "fight." We've got to fight for this love.
Yeah.
And she's wearing the military jacket.
Yeah.
She's fighting for the love. Like in the war, they were fighting.
That's probably why she wore the military stuff.
But I just never looked behind the song.
Really?
I didn't. I just thought that's a cool song, and I want the jacket.
No, I can't believe you didn't.
I was dead young. No, I'm not going to think about that.
True.
But now it's coming to me.
Now it's.
Sorry, I get really high pitched when I'm excited.
You were so excited about that then. I was literally like, yeah.
You know, you're in sixth form or college, and you make that. What is it? What is it like? PEEP.
Oh, point explanation.
And the link.
Yeah. Point, evidence, explanation. Sometimes when I'm doing something, I say to myself, right, I need to write a PEE for that. Point, evidence, explanation. We should have done that in that format, shouldn't we? Podcasting, point,
but
evidence.
I like it. It's free talk, and I'm making these
and talk about Cheryl Cole references. I was literally like, where are you going?
No. Let's go to 1950s.
1950s.
Oh,
go on.
Okay. So, thin bust. Thin waist.
Small breastises.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. B cups. So,
really?
Yeah. Relatively small.
That is small.
I don't know why, but I writ it down. I wasn't gonna, but apparently the feet were small.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah.
I don't really know why the feet were small.
I think small feet were seen as beautiful because even now.
But you ain't got a choice whether your feet are small or big.
But even now, like if a girl's got bigger feet, people are like, oh, she's got.
People say to me, I've got man feet.
Yeah, I felt self-conscious at one point because I'm a size 6, and I was like,
oh yeah, I thought you was a small foot.
See, there we go, Connie, just confirming that. Small girls shouldn't have small feet.
Yeah, I think it's just because I've never.
No, I'm
shoes,
a lion.
So
I'm a size 5.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Don't know why I said that. And if
I'm a size 7. But
if males have small feet, they're seen as
feminine.
You know the quote: "Small feet, small."
Small socks.
Small socks. So it's seen as less masculine.
Yeah.
How strange! The size of your feet.
Yeah.
Carry on anyway.
I'm just thinking about your shoes now.
My shoes? What?
I knew you had smaller feet because I couldn't fit in your shoes and I like borrowing shoes.
Yeah.
So I've never asked because I know it's not an option.
But, yeah, true. I think sometimes I assume if someone's quite taller than me that they don't have the same size feet as me.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, really, isn't
On
it?
the
If you're
same
taller,
size
you've got...
as your boyfriend's feet. Mine are probably wider, to be honest.
True. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are, because you sometimes nick his shoes. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh dear.
Okay,
so 1957, right, so we're still in the 1950s. One of the quotes for, it's called RDX diet pills advertisement was "Eat plenty, lose ugly fat."
Ah!
So having extra blubber was
Considered ugly.
Yeah.
What?
So.
But then wasn't...
So that's why they're saying thin bust, thin waist, because they're all trying to conform to...
That's so strange.
But it's saying eat plenty, lose ugly fat, because it's saying these diet pills, can eat as much as you want, but you're not going to put the weight on. So you can eat plenty, but you'd lose ugly fat.
But isn't this the area of Marilyn Monroe? Madeline. I think so. It was, you had to be nice in all the right places. So the ugly fat was probably the fat in all the wrong places. Do you know what I mean?
Because what is wrong? What's the wrong place?
The waist and tits, clearly.
Yeah.
But I forgot where I was going with that. Carry on.
So now, I'm not going to make the links to now because I keep doing it.
Oh, I remember. Okay, now I whacked that, didn't I? So Marilyn Monroe in those days was seen as bigger, but in today's days, she's quite small. So I think she was like a size 8.
Was she? The photos look like she's bigger.
Well, no, maybe a size 10, 12.
Yeah, I was thinking
back then, she was like a 16. But I think the sizes
are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on. What you were saying anyway.
I think the reason behind the thin bust, thin waist of the 1950s were in 1949. That's when active lifestyles began to decline, and then car ownership came in place. So everyone is on the mobiles, and no one's walking. So yeah, that's when.
So instead of, because they were putting on weight, they turned to dieting pills.
They needed diet pills to actually stay slim. I'll put a quote on there. So we were sold the message that Labour Save was the way to go.
That what, sorry?
Labour Save. So active lifestyles and being in car ownership. I was thinking, with car ownership, everyone is running at a certain pace, aren't they? We were starting to move at a different rate in cars. Obviously, it's not natural to move like that, but we've brought it in. And I was thinking, Labour Save, for example, for a company or a business, if you're going to have to walk to work, and then it's going to take you ages to get there because half the time, like, the businesses aren't around the corner back in the day. So they're going to have to walk to work, less work's going to get done. In comparison to if all of a sudden you have a car, you can move things, you can deliver things. Everything becomes a lot more. Everything's starting to move at a faster pace, slowly because of the cars, and that was sort of the message, to move faster.
Oh, so so get skinny quick by these pills.
Well, it more so. Okay, so we're moving faster, but we're actually
physically moving slower.
Yeah. Which means they've had to encourage diet pills and stuff like that because they are going to put weight on.
Yeah.
Because they are actually moving at a slower pace, even though the economy is starting to move faster.
Quicker. Yeah, I've gotcha.
Yeah. Another one. Stress comes with driving. I know that. And stress comes with working, which they seem to be starting to work more hours now because they can get to work quicker. And that is the reason why they're losing weight as well.
Okay. Hello, beautiful people. Tilly here, just butting in to say that this is the end of this episode. because when we filmed this, it ended up being 2 hours long. So we've decided that we're going to split the episode into 2. So part 2 will be on next week because it was over 2 hours long, and I'm sure that a lot of you didn't want to sit and listen for 2 hours. And also, I don't think our Wi-Fi would manage uploading a 2-hour video. So, and we're really sorry that there was no visual this week. It was audio only. That was because the camera didn't want to record it, so we lost that. But we will be back with visuals in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you so much for listening to part 1. We really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. We just want to get the word out there that, you know, female body norms, ideals are a pile of rubbish, and we shouldn't conform because it's ever changing and everybody is different. And just love yourselves. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Cheers on my own.